As mayor, I have always pledged to be open and transparent about how our government works. The budgeting process has traditionally been one of the least transparent parts of city government. That's not going to be the case going forward. When I took office, I inherited the consequences of years of irresponsible budgeting. You've heard me talk about it during my campaign. For years, Buffalo has relied on a pattern of budgeting that swept problems under the rug instead of solving them. Leaders routinely overestimated revenues and underestimated expenses. The budgets appeared to be balanced, but at the end of each year, the city had to raid the piggy bank to close the gaps. It meant they squandered hundreds of millions of dollars of federal relief funds that it could have been used to improve our city. They spent the reserves down to zero. They prioritized temporary fixes over lasting change. And after years of imbalanced budgets, we're left with a $109 million structural budget gap. At the same time, the cost of delivering basic services has increased dramatically. Hiring plow drivers, fixing our roads, maintaining our equipment and buildings, these are not optional expenses. They are the cost of keeping a city running. Our bills are coming due, and we don't have the money to pay them. When I was elected, I promised to come into this office and do things the responsible way. Today, I'm making a long overdue change to the way the city of Buffalo operates. I'm proposing a budget that will finally put Buffalo on a path to fiscal stability and city services residents can rely on. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. But also, it's our only option. There's no more money under the couch cushions. There's no more help coming from the federal government. There's literally no other way for us to pay our bills. The city has been digging itself into this hole for years. But now we've hit the bottom, and it's time to start climbing out. So let's get into the real numbers. The 25-26 budget we're currently operating under was adopted with $622 million in expenditures. But that number was based on unrealistic expectations. Now that we're most of the way through the fiscal year, we're projecting this year's actual spending to reach approximately $668 million. That's the real baseline we're working from. This year, we're using realistic expenditure numbers from the start. My proposed 26-27 budget includes $681 million in general fund expenditures. That's $13 million more than we're on pace to spend in this current fiscal year. That means the proposed budget is a 2% increase on this year's budget, an increase that's less than the rate of inflation. I know the first question people always have is, well, can't you just make cuts? The truth is, city services have been cut to the bone. We already spend less per capita than any of our peer cities. There simply aren't substantial cuts we can make to close a $109 million budget gap. But as part of this process, we did take a hard look at how city government operates. We've identified areas where we can operate more efficiently and reduce spending. The savings we're able to find will be reinvested into basic services that residents rely on each and every day. Hiring more mechanics, more plow drivers, fixing broken streetlights, paving our streets and filling our potholes the right way. But since we can't cut our way out of the problem, that means we have to raise revenue through more aggressive fines and fees collection, extra support from New York State, and a variety of other revenue sources. We were able to reduce the budget gap down to about $45 million. To fully close the remaining gap and put forward a budget that is truly balanced, not just balanced on paper, we are proposing an increase to the property tax levy. I don't make this proposal lightly. I understand that any tax increase raises real concerns for families, especially at a time when many people are facing financial pressure. But the alternative would be tens of millions of dollars in additional cuts to a city that is already operating at a bare minimum. It would mean fewer services, slower response times, and a further deterioration of our infrastructure. It's also important to understand what this proposal actually means for homeowners. Property taxes are based on the assessed value, so the impact won't be the same for every household. Nearly 2/3 of homeowners, the increase will be less than $25 per month. About 1 in 5 will see an increase of less than $15 per month. Even with those changes, Buffalonians will continue to pay half of what people in all our neighboring towns pay. I know that there are people who will feel the squeeze even if their taxes go up just a few dollars a month. Luckily, we already have programs like New York State's enhanced STAR exemption that could insulate people in that situation from the impact of this tax increase. We estimate that as many as 60% of eligible residents are leaving money on the table by not applying for these programs. My administration is going to be out in the community in the coming weeks helping people get enrolled. It's not lost on me that these are many of the same people who have been left behind by their government for years. That's why we're doing this. This budget is about more than closing a gap. It's about restoring a foundation that we can build off of. It's about ensuring that when residents pay for city services, they see the results. Reliable trash pickup, safer streets, better maintained roads. Buffalo has been doing more with less for years, and it shows. We're finally going to confront this problem. We're going to stabilize our finances and move forward on a stronger, more sustainable path. And we're going to build the better Buffalo that we all deserve.